Hi, this is my true Christmas story that happened 20 years ago with my 8-year-old son, Dustin. I'm Gloria Query from Chesapeake, Virginia. I'm the mother of 4 great kids, Melanie, Jason, Dustin, and Wendy. 20 years ago, I was on my own. I had a home. I had to work 4 jobs. I had a son that was disabled. Actually, I had 2, and that's where the miracle of this story comes in. 20 years ago, little Dustin was 8 years old and had never written a letter to Santa Claus and had never asked for one single solitary thing for Christmas. Times were tough. I didn't have a lot of money. It was hard making ends meet to keep a roof, clothes, and food for my family. Anyway, here's how the story goes. One of my jobs was a paper route, and my children would help me on weekends and during the summers. And it was the Christmas season. About 2.5 weeks before Christmas, my little 8-year-old son had never written a letter to Santa Claus and had never asked for a single solitary gift for Christmas. Little did I know that this was going to be a Christmas for the record books 20 years ago from the year 2016. It's our true story. And it went citywide, statewide, and I was told international, and that the story actually got syndicated. Okay, so I worked 4 jobs. It was 2.5 weeks before Christmas, tough times, and during the summer months and spring months, I'd have to buy gifts at yard sales and things to have for my children at Christmas. But the story goes, my 8-year-old son Dustin with special needs, at that time was classified special needs, and my son Jason was also, and still is, classified disabled. Okay. 8-year-old Dustin had never written a letter to Santa Claus and had never asked for a single solitary thing. Not even a pencil, socks, underwear, coloring books, anything. And we'd gone out on the paper route, of which my children helped me on weekends and summers when they were out of school. And we had just collected on the paper route about 2.5 weeks before Christmas. I had already done everything I could for Christmas. Bills were paid. All I had in my pocket was $25. And hoping I'd have enough money to even buy a meal for Christmas. And we're riding home, and my little boy says, Mommy, 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 I know what I want for Christmas. I know what I want for Christmas. I'm looking at my 8-year-old who had never asked for anything. And he said, Mom, can I show you? Can I show you? Can I show you? We drove the car about 4 blocks. He was guiding me. I thought we were going to a store. He says, pull over to the side. He jumps out of the car. He's screaming and hollering and runs up in the air, throws his hands up in the air. He says, Mommy, Mommy, I know what I want for Christmas. I want God for Christmas. I want God in my front yard. And Mommy, people need to wash their God when they put them in the front yard. They shouldn't let God get dirty. Little did I know my son wanted a manger scene. We go home. I got somebody to watch the kids for about an hour. I rode around. I went to flea markets. I went everywhere. The cheapest manger scene I could find was $59.99. Didn't have credit cards. Didn't have any extra money. Couldn't borrow any money because he didn't want a little manger scene. He wanted the works. He wanted the manger. He wanted the wise men, the sheep, the camel, the donkey, everything imaginable. The star, the little angel in the air. He wanted a life-size manger scene, which ran hundreds and hundreds of dollars back then and even more today. Well, I called a friend. I was crying, told him the story, and I had told her I promised him the following year he would have his God in the front yard. Little did I know, a couple days later, I get a call from a local newspaper called the Virginian Pilot. They didn't believe the story. I told them to come over. We lived across from the school. They could go over and meet him, and I wouldn't be there to influence any answers with questions they had. They did. The reporter came over, walked him across the street. We lived strictly right across the street from the school. She was in tears. The paper went in the news. The article went in the newspaper. It went citywide. It got syndicated. CBN's calling me. People for religious rights are calling me. People were wanting to buy manger scenes. Before I knew it, we had a half a dozen manger scenes and trying to, turn them down. We ended up giving them to people through social services and delivering them. People wanted to touch his head. A local minister brought this big figurine, bigger than I can describe, which I have today, with Jesus and his arms outreached. They said he was blessed. And that's how the story goes. And he got a life-size manger scene that we used for over 16 years till it completely demolished and fell apart. And it went international 2 years after the story. Somebody asked whatever happened to the little boy that wanted God in the front yard. And it all started up again 2 years later. So anyway, that's the story, but here's the miracle of that Christmas. Remember, my son, Dustin, had never asked for anything for Christmas, and he was in a special education class at school, and I get this call from this teacher that's almost in tears. She's got to talk to him. Turns out that suddenly Dustin's reading 6th grade level, then he's reading 7th grade level, then he's reading, 8th grade level, and they're sending him out in the hallways to teach other kids how to read, and they're saying he can come out of special education. And the story grows. And he told them he didn't want to come out of his class. He finished that year, and he became out of special education, became an honor roll student, graduated high school, and that story about the little boy who wanted God in the front yard is still talked about to this day. My son is now 28 years old, and I once sent this story to Touched by an Angel. I talked to him on the phone, but Touched by an Angel was going off the year that all this information was being forwarded to him for consideration for a possible Christmas story, on their show One Christmas. Wow, stories to tell. This is my true story, and what a blessing my children are. And miracles happen, and today Dustin works a job. He's doing well. He lives in an apartment right upstairs from me in our home. We're trying to find a home at the beach close to my sister. And even now, life is tough, but guess what? The challenges of today make us stronger for the dreams and challenges of tomorrow's. Merry Christmas, everybody. Remember, dreams come true and miracles happen, because it happened to my son and my family, and it's happening more than I can ever tell. God bless everybody. The holiday season and Christmas of 2016. I hope it touched your heart, because it sure changed our lives. Bye.